Welcome to GLHF, the world's first podcast in video games. Today, in what looks like an abandoned Midwestern town on a nice cloudy gray day in winter. There's no leaves on the trees. We have our own kind of sad version of the Washington Monument over here.
You ever played GeoGuessr?
No, I would be literally pathetic. I would be laughed off the face of the earth if I had tried to play GeoGuessr. Everyone would say, Mem is an idiot. Look at this idiot.
It's a game, but, you played alone though, don't you? So no one would be able to laugh at you. But anyway, the point is, if this was GeoGuessr, where would we assume we were? Do we think America? This looks American, right? First and foremost.
Very American, I would say.
But it also kind of looks really, 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 really depressing and like apartment oriented. And I feel like small towns in America tend not to be like apartment blocks, you know? They're like little houses and sad things. So it's weird because it's a mix of like a small town.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me a lot of the downtowns of small towns in Indiana, where like maybe it used to be a little more of a bustling, nice place when there was like industry there, and now it's just and there's just nobody there now. That's what this reminds me of.
Yeah, but like at one point they had enough money to build this giant park, and now it's a ghost town. You know, 60,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town. Oh well.
Yeah, you can't even. There's not even any street signs. The street lights don't work. But we were just.
Did you know?
Yes.
Whoa! Are the street signs on yellow for you all the time?
Yeah, they're all stuck on yellow.
Okay, so approach with caution when you're in this city.
You know what this vibe is actually? Is like,
what?
Oh, what's it called? Alice in Borderland. Do you know anything about that?
I have never heard of this. What is this?
It's a TV show. It's I think it was originally a manga that they made into a live action show on Netflix. And I need to watch more of it. I only watched season 1 and I didn't realize there's 2 more seasons. But it's a battle royale type of situation. But there's like a bunch of different games. But it's all like in the city. I forget exactly why everything's kind of fucked up. But
okay, so yeah, it's like not Squid Game. It's honestly like a depressing, like a post-apocalyptic Squid Game vibes. Maybe
yeah,
like
so this is giving the vibe
Maze
of like
Runner.
This area would be like blocked off for a challenge in Alice in Borderland where you have to like kill all your friends.
Are there whole towns you can rent? Can you rent a whole town? Tell me.
That does seem like the end result of a lot of your goals would be to rent a Western whole town for some reason.
Yes, it totally is. This is insane actually, and it's not even that expensive. Hold on, listen to this. Texas, of course it would be in Texas, okay? $2,000 per night. It is a Western themed entire town available on Airbnb. It includes, it's near Dallas, great. 6 themed buildings. You've got a saloon, a jail, a bank. That's all it's listed as, etc. And then it sleeps up to 22 people. So we could live in a Western town. Wait, we got to do this.
Wait, how much does it
Texas, cost? $2,000 a night. So especially if you actually like split it between people, it's less than $100 a night per person. We got to do this. Eustis, Texas, Airbnb.
This reminds me of
rental.
Like I remember seeing like a YouTube video go viral like years ago because some YouTuber was like, I became the mayor of this small town, but it's just because you can pay to be the mayor for a day at this random place.
No, I hate stuff like that's like that video you sent me where the kid was, and honestly, it wasn't a horrible video, but the one where he was like, Dubai is run by slaves, and then you watch it, and it's like basically just him vlogging his trip to Dubai that may or may not have been paid for by the Saudi people or whatever. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a crazy thumbnail that kind of made me laugh because it kept showing up in my recommended sidebar for some reason. I don't know what YouTube thinks of me, but the thumbnail was like, it just said in big text across it, Dubai is run on slaves? ? There might have been a question mark.
Yep.
and then it's just him doing like a classic YouTuber like shrug and like eyes to the side like, ooh.
Now to his credit, he did, Dubai is not Is Dubai UAE or is Dubai's UAE, not Saudi Arabia? Yes, regardless. He did stay in like a really shitty, weird hotel, which is cool. Good for you. Like he didn't stay in some big fancy Burj Khalifa.
I don't know. I didn't
place.
actually watch the video. You said you did.
Oh, yeah, I did. And he stays in this hotel, and he did like go for one of the days. He went to a neighborhood and just like pointed the camera at people and said, "Look, slaves." And I think he talked to some people sort of, but it made it seem like the video was going to be like, hey, here's how Dubai works and all these people. And like it made it seem like one of those Channel 5 documentaries.
Right, but it was investigating nothing.
It was mostly just him walking around going like, I'm pretty sure there's slaves around here. And then like maybe, I think he found some people who did that kind of work. I don't know. I just felt slightly misled, that's all. But hey.
Yeah, classic YouTuber activity.
Got me to watch.
But so you're going to rent this town?
Yeah, I looked at the pictures of it and it actually looks a little bit lame. But maybe because they didn't really commit. But I don't know, maybe we'll think about it. There are like inside the houses, there's like lazy boy chairs and giant flat screen TVs and stuff, which of course
do you want it to be like
you would want
rustic? What do you want?
I think
you want like a historical
want
experience.
Yeah, because it's like the jail, right? There's a jail, and the jail is just a house with beds in the jail cells for you to sleep in. Yeah, I would want it to be like a actual place, like a ghost town that I could rent. Because this isn't a town. You call it a town, but it's really just 6 themed houses.
Yeah,
and that's a little bit lame. So I'll keep digging and see what we can find.
We need to be able to actually lock people in the jail. We need to get 20 YouTubers in this town. We need to redo what is it called? The prison experiment, where they all like become evil. We need to do that with
especially
YouTubers.
with YouTubers. Holy smokes! Should we include any civilians? Like, should it be like 20 YouTubers, 20 civilians, and see who acts
Those would
more
be
horrible?
the 2 classes.
Yeah, see how that works. Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. I decided, my second batch of Huel is going to arrive, and I'm sending the batches to off to go get tested for lead.
I'm actually so fascinated by this.
Yeah, I keep doing deep dives on it because people keep commenting with like good arguments about things to be aware of and so on and so forth. Not that I read the comments, but what I learned is I can actually just pay money and they'll straight up test my blood for lead, and that's definitive. Then I'll just know if it's a problem or not, regardless of all this other context. So obviously I want to know if there's lead in the Huel, but I can very cleanly just have them go, you have too much lead in your blood or not, which is pretty sick. I didn't realize I could do that. I'm starting to turn into, who's that guy who's trying to live forever? That weird guy.
Yeah, that's like putting his son's blood into his body like a vampire.
Yeah. I'm very rapidly approaching that type of behavior, but I can't be stopped.
But really hyper-focused on lead only. There's other poisons. You could get into like what are all everything that could possibly be toxic to you. And then that becomes your full-time existence, is investigating all those things.
And then, well, really, I only explore things that people like actually me about in the comments, because it makes me really mad. So then I go and I look stuff up because I am childish. So if there's anything you want me to investigate, you just have to comment about how I was wrong about something. And then I'll go to I will allocate hours to figuring out the truth.
Good to know. You're giving your haters a lot of fuel right now.
I know. And then I'm just going to get bored of it, but then I'll go renting towns. That'll be the next arc, lead arc, town rental arc. Have you had a nice week? You had a good time this week?
I have. I'm getting back into the groove of my... Oh, my God. There's a lady.
A lady?
There's a lady between us right now.
Oh, my God. She's got a honking behind. You know what I'm saying?
And a tiny head.
Really small head.
Why is her head so small?
Well, she's part of the pod.
All right. Welcome lady. Okay. So you can listen to what I was just saying. Do you think she has anything
to say? Wait, that can be Ethan.
Ethan.
Right. Like if Ethan wants to do a voiceover,
you could put a little...
Here, let's give Ethan 5 seconds if Ethan wants to do a voiceover. anything can cut in on this lady. And
yeah,
that can be Ethan.
whatever
Ethan,
you're comfortable with.
Do you have
Ethan.
anything to say?
If you want to do a voiceover, put a little bubble above her head or something.
All right, ready, go.
No, I don't think I will.
Oh, Ethan, you're so funny. Okay, there you go.
What the hell was I just saying?
Getting back in the groove of something?
Yeah, because I did the thing that I am always doing where I get to like the end stages of a video and I just like go into a cave and edit and forget to do anything else for a week. So
yeah,
I fell behind on streaming and stuff, which I swear to God I'm going to get better about that. And I say that every time. But you know what? I can't.
It's hard to be in a groove.
I've been slowly getting more consistent and better about my schedule. So I think I can do it. But yeah, so it's been chill. A lot of the, not that I want to talk about this too long because it's boring, but I was doing like an actual crazy amount of work to get the merch shop set up. So now that that's done, you know, I was stressed out because I was like doing that at the same time as finishing the video because I wanted to announce it in the video. So that was many hours of researching boring businessy finance things that is now like mostly settled. So now I can like stop spending so much time on that, which is cool.
It's a crazy thing when you realize that, like, you know, when you pay sales tax, I think when I was younger, I thought that the sales tax and stuff just like auto routed to the government right when I paid it. But it like goes to the business, man. And then the business actually has to like remember how much of the money in their bank is the sales tax money. And then you got to send it to the government every quarter.
Yes.
Which is extremely annoying because then you see very large amounts of money disappearing from your bank account. That's not fun to see.
Yeah. Oh, the lady left us. She went way down the street. I can still see her in my screen. She went way down the street, down the block. She's getting further from us as we speak. She's sick of us.
What could have led her to come to this place of all places?
I don't know. And then to actually, it's not like she left the chat room. She just got away from us.
Did she say anything in the chat? I don't have it open.
Me neither. I have it hidden, so we'll never know.
Oh, well. Okay.
I don't know what I was just talking about. Boring
taxes
stuff.
Are crazy. Congrats on getting the store up and running.
Yeah, freaking sales tax. Oh, it's just crazy that, like, because basically any place that I want to sell to, I have to, like, look up the sales tax laws because it's different in every country or whatever. But it's kind of crazy that most other countries that I'm selling to, like in Europe, just have like a countrywide sales tax. And then the US, as we know, has different sales tax in every state. Or sometimes there's no sales tax in some of them. And so they all have completely different thresholds on like when you have to start paying it. It's crazy. It's actually kind of crazy how like US states in a lot of ways are kind of run like EU countries. You know, like US states have a lot of power over how they run compared to other places.
And that was kind of part of the idea. I mean, we are a very, very large country, and our states are kind of the size of other countries. So it does make sense. We're like a large... I mean, we took that from the... oh, no, I'm going to ruin... Is it the Iroquois? We took this... Well, not only from... But the idea of this confederacy, like they had their big confederacy of tribes and then they ran them as like one big thing. And we were like, what a great idea. We'll use that for kind of how we set up the way that our states interact and still have sort of independence.
And we'll take actually everything else from you too. We'll just take just all of it.
We'll take your life. We'll take that too. Yeah. It's all good. We'll take everything. It's pretty interesting. So the platform, you say this is boring, but it actually might be the most fascinating thing to talk about.
Maybe to you. I just don't know about the audience.
To me.
But
the platform is automatically keeping track of what states each people are buying from. And then does the platform give you a number, or does it go into like a spreadsheet and then you have to run some algorithm to be like who bought from Wyoming and who bought from Montana and then what amount do I owe?
So I have all kind of analytics, and I have set up my own custom reports for sales tax in each, that'll easily show me basically my total sales numbers in each US state and in each country. And basically the total sales number has to be kind of like crazy in one single jurisdiction for me to have to start paying sales tax. It's usually like $100,000 of sales in one place, which is probably never going to happen for my store unless something crazy happens.
So you're saying if you don't sell 100,000, this is fascinating.
But it depends on the place. So some places, the places that have thresholds,
when you say
have to
place,
sell like 100K.
Does that include states?
Yeah, so I mean like states or countries outside of the US.
So if you don't sell over 100K of revenue in merch for, Minnesota or whatever, below that, they're just like, don't even worry about it because it's only going to be like $2,000. And like it's small potatoes in terms of like the grand scheme of things for them. Huh. Well,
but some places don't have thresholds. So like the, what is it? The EU and the UK, they're separate now, first of all, thanks to Brexit.
True. Brexit. God bless. Make it simple.
God bless Brexit. What am I saying? They both have like mandatory tax no matter, like they don't have a threshold. It's like whatever I sell to them, I have to pay sales tax. So I already have to pay attention to those ones. But basically I have a big custom graph that I can look at to just check where my thresholds are. But I'm not worried about it because it's almost never going to happen in these places that have thresholds because it's like, I would have to be a real business for that.
Yeah. Well, hey, give it time. You never know.
Anyway, a lot of that stuff is figured out now, so I can actually do my regular job, which is content stuff. Because I don't want to be one of these people that stops making content because they're like, I'm just really focused on my brand now. I'm not doing that.
I mean,
don't worry.
Eventually, what do they call that? There's the passive income, right? You got a couple passive income streams. You can just kick back on an island with a pineapple.
I know. I mean, that's why people
whatever.
love it. That's why people, influencers start businesses and then stop doing the influencing because they're like, wait, it's way easier to just have a business and hire people to do everything for me and just get the money.
Yeah, it's like why I'm going to do React videos starting next year. I'm just going to switch because it's easier.
I can't actually imagine you doing a React video.
No, it's going to be great. You've got because what's going to happen is I'm going to transition everybody slowly by streaming games and then streaming research and then streaming research for non-game stuff. And then including in that is going to be watching videos, reacting to them. Boom. It's like I've got it all planned out. It's going to be
okay.
We're going to be like
you got to be like
Charlie.
You got to be like practicing your reactions though.
Well, I'm going to keep it very understated. So it's going to fail. Like this is going to work. I'm not saying it's going to work. It's going to fail and my channel's going to die. Can we get an example?
So like I'll give you something to react to.
Okay, you're going to like send a picture?
No, just like imagine you're watching like a drama like story time video.
Okay. Are you going to act it out or?
So I'm like a woman making a YouTube video, like sitting on a couch looking kind of grave. The lighting's kind of low.
Okay.
And I'm going, so then.
Okay, pause. I paused the video first thing and foremost. I pause. Why is this woman's lighting so bad? Look at this lighting. She looks grave. This is a disaster. What's the title of this video?
You won't believe what he did to me.
I don't believe how bad the lighting is. Okay, continue.
So after I went through his phone, I found the location where I thought he was, and I went there.
Why does the video start halfway through the story? What kind of YouTuber is this? Or is this like a cold open? Are we watching a cold open? That's it. I'm bored of this. Let's go back to old Filthy Frank compilations.
You didn't even get to...
And that's how it's going to work.
You didn't even get to the exciting part.
Well, no, because I need to make sure that I'm doing bite-sized reactions.
Okay,
so we're doing like 8 to 9 seconds. 8 to 9 seconds. Do you want to continue? Did you have something here? Play the video again. I want to know where this was going.
Anyway, I found him parked in the parking lot in an SUV with my mom.
No way. Planning. Wait, pause the video again. What do we think is going to happen? Chat. What do we think, chat? Mom and him are what? What do you think they're doing? In an SUV? What time of day was it? We don't know. We haven't gotten to that part yet, and she didn't seem to say. Yeah, I agree. I think that they are planning a getaway. I think they are. Actually, I think he's trying to talk her mom out of doing something bad. Okay, continue.
And I bet as a viewer, you're probably wondering what time of day it was. It happened to be the middle of the night. It was 1 a.m. And they were making out.
Chat, this is getting
with each
suspicious.
other.
No, wait, chat, this is crazy. Oh, woo, 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 I'm hitting a soundboard.
Okay.
I'll have a
Yeah, I like
soundboard
that.
also.
I like that.
See, it could work. It could work is the point. It could work. I can handle it. And if that doesn't work, I'll start a company or something. We'll see.
Okay. Sounds good.
Listen, I'll be honest. This whole dancing plague thing, the dancing plague of 1518.
Oh, yeah. Were you going to
talked
tell us more
this?
about this?
I am probably in the top 50 most informed people about this thing now, this event.
Oh, wow.
In the world. I am over-informed.
Oh, my goodness.
So there's a good chance that if we go down this rabbit hole, it could run long, okay? So I'm giving you an out right now. But if you want to know about the dancing plague...
Okay, I had a short story. Maybe I should do that first, if this is going to get
short
involved.
Story, please. If there's anything that's not story time, I want to do that first. Like if you have anything cool to say or a short story.
Yeah, I mean, so I can make this quick. This is a little bit of... I'm going to start with some lore about my couch, but there's a twist, okay?
What the? Okay.
There's a crazy twist, and this is going to be another chance for you to practice your reactions to the twist in this story.
Okay, great.
Quick background on the couch in my game room, because everybody's asking me about it. Where did you get this couch that you can lay down on that has wooden armrests? It's not wooden armrests, it's charcuterie boards that I put on the armrests. And I didn't buy it as one couch. I went to a furniture store and got a left and a right chase from a sectional, because you can buy sectionals in pieces. You can customize it however you want.
Right.
And I said, we have a limited amount of space. We need something that's basically like pretty narrow, like only the width of like a small couch or a love seat. But I want to be able to like recline on it. So we were just like, what if we just got two chases? We put them together. Okay. We did that when we moved in. And it's expensive to buy like pieces of a real sectional. Couches are expensive. But the idea is that we were going to this is going to be furniture that we're going to keep forever. And so then I'm thinking, okay, but it's weird if we just have a left and a right chase to a sectional that we keep forever. Because I don't want it to always look like that. It's kind of a strange situation for this specific room. So my master plan was that we would get what we have now, which is just the chase parts. And then in the future, we could buy more pieces of the same sectional to make it a bigger couch if we ever have like a bigger room where we can put it instead.
Okay, pause.
Yes.
Chat, this is the worst mistake. You never make this mistake, chat, okay? Never buy things that have additional parts to buy, assuming that those parts will always be available.
And that is what I was told by the furniture people. And
they told you to not do this.
Well, they just said, if you're thinking about buying more parts in like a year, just so you know, like stuff comes in and out of stock or availability, and
it really do be doing that.
And you might not be able to. But we did it because we had just moved. We didn't have the money to buy more parts of it right then.
Yeah, it's like thousands of dollars for furniture.
It's very expensive. So I rolled the dice basically, and lo and behold, we go back to the furniture store like last week because I'm finally ready to buy more pieces of this couch, which we were just going to have like in the living room for now until like use them as chairs basically until eventually when we buy a house, maybe in the future we can put it all together. But so I'm talking to the sales guy. And I'm saying, okay, we're like ready to buy more pieces of this sectional that we already have. He's like, okay, do you remember what it was called? And I'm like, yes, it was made by this company, Michael Nicholas, and the couch was called the Odyssey. And he goes kind of quiet, and then he says, well, let me go check what we have available on the computer, because their warehouse got hit by an airplane a while ago.
What?
And they lost a lot of their like fabrics and stuff, so we need to check that they still have the fabric that you want.
Oh my god. Wait. All right, well, we're going down another rabbit hole. Airplane crash, Michael Nichols. Okay, continue.
So I looked up like the articles about the crash. This was in Fullerton, California, because that's where they're based. Yeah. It's like a West Coast company. And So I assume that you'll have more to say about this, but I found out like what type of plane it was and stuff. It was like a small propeller plane that had two people in it.
They build those at you buy them in a kit and you have to assemble them at your own house.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing in the article, is that it's a kit built plane. So you build it yourself. And it was just the pilot and his 16-year-old daughter, and they both died, which is really sad.
It is sad.
But it seems like, so I found this article from Ramos Aviation Law that maybe was the
classic website
firm that was investigating this or whatever. And first of all, this happened in January 25. So like, when did we? It was like not that long after we got our couch. Basically, they had this warehouse fire and our fabric was lost.
Wait, that's fucking crazy. That you were like, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. We don't. And the guy is
the craziest
telling you at the
possible
store,
thing
like,
happened.
You never know. You never know what happens with these couches. They can disappear. And then the next day, he calls his friend and goes, "I think tomorrow's a good day to go flying. See you later. No couches for you." Yeah,
but here, I'll copy paste the link to this article because this has all the like technical details that you might be interested in. But it seems like the issue was that one of the doors of the plane came off mid-flight, and they tried to do an emergency landing, and the warehouse, it was in like a kind of a warehouse business district that was like right next to the airport, the Fullerton Airport. So they were trying to make an emergency landing at the airport, and basically it seemed like he just didn't have control of the plane anymore because the door came off and crashed into the roof. And then according to this investigation by Ramos Law, he had there were problems with the door, and he had replaced the door locking pins with a different part that wasn't the official part. And he had disabled the warning lights for the doors because this probably was something that was annoying him, and he was just whatever, just unplugged the lights.
Yeah.
And I guess there was some witness on the ground that saw that the door came open while they were flying, and he had been trying to close it. And then they found, after the crash, they found the door separated from the plane somewhere else on the roof. So it seems like it just fully came off. And I guess my only question to you about that would be does that make sense that in a plane that small, the door coming off would just completely ruin the airflow or something and make you crash?
It doesn't make sense to me. So that's why I looked up a picture of how the doors open, because there have been cases of some planes stupidly design the doors to kind of open from the front so that while they're open, they basically serve as a giant windbreak. So if they come open in flight, it's just a gigantic panel that ruins the airflow. But these ones, they open kind of up like a DeLorean. And I can't think of a reason why, if the door just immediately came off, it would be a problem aerodynamically. My bet would be you could just take the doors off and fly this thing no problem based on the shape of it. So maybe it was a thing it opened and disrupted the airflow. Because one of the things that really can kill a lot of people when flying is if the airflow over the tail of the plane gets disrupted, it can cause just all sorts of issues. Because the tail of the plane is a stabilizing. It stabilizes the plane so it doesn't pitch wildly. If you only had wings and you didn't have that second wing on the tail, planes would be borderline uncontrollable. So sometimes if things disrupt airflow over the tail, it can cause issues. But I don't know why the door coming off, but maybe it's the thing about this plane that I'm not understanding.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's possible that maybe it opened, and then while trying to close it, they just took off, and so they're still quite low and quite slow, and maybe, something got knocked, and then the plane, stalled and fell out of the sky or something. But I'd have to do more research. I'm not sure. I've never flown in an RV-10.
They know it didn't stall because it was still, somehow they knew it was still running when it crashed.
In the context of an airplane, a stall has nothing to do with the engine. So it's not like an engine stall in a car. A stall is when the I don't know what the
Oh,
easiest way to explain
it's like
it is,
something about the aerodynamics, right?
the aerodynamics. Yeah, you
Yeah.
basically like the airflow over the wings separates from the wings, and you just kind of it's no longer lifting you up. I don't know how to explain it very better, but the point is, if you get too slow, you fall out of the sky. It's like actually a great example would be, you know how on the electric surfboard that we played with, as you get up to speed, you have more like stability, and as you slow down, it can kind of fall into the water a little bit. It floats, so it's not quite like a plane, but it's sort of like that. Like you need to be moving to kind of grip the air in order to fly. So yeah, I'm not sure. That's a little confusing to me. But anyway,
But the point
your
is,
couch.
there was a fire, and the fabric that my famous gaming couch is made out of was lost, and so there's no foreseeable future where I will be able to order more pieces of this couch with the same fabric. And so then Noah and I are having this discussion in the furniture store about whether it's insane to buy more pieces of this couch in a different color. Maybe we'll just be funky people that have a multicolored couch.
Yeah, well, that's the risk, is that you become funky people with a multicolored couch. Because there's a version of it that it could work, and you can always. Well, this is like you'd have to be even richer because this is very expensive. But you could reupholster the whole couch, to match it all, someday, or put a blanket over it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's a tough. For the amount of money that like a nice couch costs, that's a tough pill to swallow. But the alternative is just buying a whole new couch or not ever having a full couch. So
yeah, or just getting, because I think I just don't like the idea of like always having this weird double chase situation. It's a strange piece of furniture that like fits our specific situation right now, but in any other context, it's weird. So I don't know. I feel like we're going to end up just getting more pieces in different colors and trying to pretend that it's cool until maybe one day we can reupholster it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end, what's the old saying, right? Cross that bridge when you come to it. Why are you worried that if you wait even longer, it won't even be available in other colors?
Yeah. I mean, what if they discontinue like the make of the couch? I don't know.
Yeah. Could you?
I gotta go find where they sourced that fabric and see if I can like buy more of it for them. I don't know.
You might be able to. Yeah, you might be able to call them and be like, "Hey, because it's physically possible to get this. It's the laws of physics don't prevent it. So it's really just a matter of how willing are you to really figure out every step of the process and effectively remanufacture a couch in partnership with Michael, whatever.
Michael Nicholas Designs.
It would be a pretty funny story for the pod to do that. You might be able to write it off if it's funny enough. So
yeah, I mean, to be determined what we decide to do, because I do want to get to your dancing plague story, but I just thought that was insane. When he said that in the furniture store, I was like, what the hell is the chance of this?
Hold on a second. Things like that are so... I've been thinking about this so much. Is this like... But when you get reminded that the things in your world are because other people are doing things... Like stuff doesn't just show up in a store, right? It's not just there.
Yeah,
it's
like these people in California made my couch.
They made your couch. The fabric is in a place.
Yeah, they have all the fabric in a warehouse.
Mm-hmm. And then you're like, oh yeah, that it's like when that boat got stuck in the Suez Canal, and then people's Amazon packages were just in a boat on a canal, and you're like, oh yeah, this is all like this is all connected. This is all not. I think I kind of always think of like. Buying things online as like in a video game, like you just click it and then it just happens. For sure.
We're very disconnected from where our stuff comes from in this age of like
really
globalization and delivery and stuff.
Yeah, well, maybe that'll change soon for geopolitical reasons.
It is interesting if you ever want to do research on like
boy, do
like where your stuff comes from. Like you can look up a lot of times if you look up like your like clothes that you have, for example, look up on the website, like sometimes they'll have information about like where they source stuff. Sometimes they're just sourcing it from another company that just like designs clothes for other companies that get relabeled, and then you have to go to that company and see where they source stuff. But it's interesting to know like actually where all your things come from, and it's crazy the journey that some things go on, like multiple countries across the world before it even gets to you, and it makes you wonder how the hell you bought it for a reasonable price. But of course, that's because usually somebody is getting paid very little at the beginning. Very
little. And then there's a lot of people getting paid a little bit more every single step of the process.
Yeah.
It's funny because there was a time, I've totally forgot about this video, but a long time ago, it's not public anymore, but on my channel, man, there's so many private videos on my channel. I made a video called, "How does a Nintendo Switch get from China to your house?" And I literally just like traced the whole process of like, it has to, like, you know, they have to get these materials to this factory in this city and they put it together and then they have to ship it and it has to go through this customs, through this port and onto this plane and through here and into this where, and then basically just tracing it all back and kind of, I don't know why I thought that, I mean, this was in 2017 that I put up that video originally. So I guess that has always been a fascination of mine now that I think about it. I don't know if it's a good video or even accurate. I haven't watched it in a long time, but that's what it is.
Wow.
It's a fascinating topic.
Lost Austin content.
I know. I'm looking here. There's something called Friday Vlog number 3 that's unlisted from 2017.
Like weekly vlogs?
I guess so. I was doing Friday vlogs apparently at a time. Yeah, like I just searched Nintendo Switch on my channel, and there are 12 videos that I've made on that subject, and only 2 of them are public anymore. There's just 10 invisible videos. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Release the vault.
Release. Well, no, I don't want to. They're probably all really bad. Listen, how much time do we have?
We've got another 25 minutes.
Okay, that's
for you
enough.
to talk
that's
about
enough.
The dancing plague.
We're going to do this in an interesting way. But we had talked, you have now told us 2 stories on the pod of interesting things. Mm-hmm. So I'm bringing now an interesting thing, which is the story of the dancing plague of 1518. You've heard of it. Most people have heard of this, right?
I hadn't until you said it.
Oh, okay. Well, assuming then that not everyone has heard of it, we're going to approach this a little bit different than just linear storytelling, because I think there's something really interesting about how we tell this story. But for those who haven't heard of it, including you, I'm just going to give you a rough overview of kind of the story as it's typically told. So this is from an article on publicdomainreview.org, okay? Quote, on a hastily built stage before the busy horse market of Strasbourg, which is a town in, I think it's like on the border of France and Germany, scores of people dance to pipes, drums, and horns. The July sun beats down upon them as they hop from leg to leg, spin in circles, and whoop loudly. From a distance, they might look to be, carnival revelers, but closer inspection reveals a more disquieting scene. Their arms are flailing, and their bodies are convulsing spasmodically. I don't even know that word. Ragged clothes and pinched faces are saturated in sweat. Their eyes are glassy, distant. Blood seeps from swollen feet into leather boots and wooden clogs. These people are choreomaniacs entirely possessed by the mania of the dance. So the story that's normally told about this is one day in this city of Strasbourg, which is a large city in eastern France, something happened and some people just started dancing and they couldn't stop. And more people started dancing and they couldn't stop. And eventually people just started dancing until they all died. They couldn't stop. They danced until they died. And this is I guess you'd say the legend of the dancing plague of 1518. What I want to do for you right now, this is going to be a participation exercise, okay?
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically tell you the 7 actual pieces of evidence that we have, like how we know this happened. There are really 7 pieces of evidence that we have about this event. And from those 7, I want you to basically purge. I shouldn't have even told you the story. Purge from your mind the story I just told you. Okay, forget everything. Forget everything. I'm just going to tell you the 7 pieces of evidence that we've used to fabricate this story. And when I say fabricate, I guess I literally mean like weave together, not make up. And then I want you to tell me what you think happened. Why do you think this happened? How did it happen, etc.?
Okay. I mean, that's fine because I already, I don't like believe that at face value, what you just said. There must be an explanation.
There's definitely an explanation. And even the details of it sound fishy, right? The idea that everyone started dancing till they died and then it was over and it was just like suddenly one day doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to give you the 7 pieces of evidence, okay? And so I'm going to start with a little bit of context. So for context, historically, city of Strasbourg, it's a large city. It is sort of considered a slightly more secular city. Obviously, everyone there is still Catholic. The Catholics are very widespread here, but they have like physicians, and it is not controlled by a prince or like a lord. It is controlled by like a municipal government, basically. But it was a tough time in the region. The crops had died. There was a lot of disease going around. The prices of things were going up on account of the bad yields of the crops. There was a lot of stress, is the point, in this region at this time. So that's sort of historical context for you. I want you to picture yourself as basically like like Indiana Jones, okay? You're like in the vaults somewhere going through old papers.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell you the 7
Can I be Lara
things
Croft
that you
instead?
find. You're Lara Croft, yeah, okay. You can be, well, she's like he was like a nerd who would go through papers. She's like a badass who goes in tombs, but you can be Lara Croft regardless.
She reads papers sometimes when it's convenient.
Okay, great. I should play the games, then I would know. Well, you're Lara Croft and you're tomb raiding in Eastern France and you stumble across some boxes of papers, okay. So the first paper you pull out.
This looks like boxes of papers.
That was really good. And it is boxes of papers, Laura. It's exactly what it is. You pull out a piece of paper that is from a lawyer. And this lawyer wrote this piece of paper 180 years after the dancing plague occurred. So we're in like the late 1600s. You find a piece of paper from the late 1600s. And on that piece of paper, the lawyer says something to the effect of, there's this old poem that I like, and it has a section that goes like this. And then he writes down this old poem. And the poem says, quote, many hundreds in Strasbourg began to dance and hop, women and men, in the public market, in alleys and streets, day and night, and many of them ate nothing, until at last the sickness left them. This affliction was called Saint Vitus's dance, or Vitus's dance. That's the poem, okay? I'm going to paste that for you.
I'm trying so hard not to start Googling stuff because I'm so curious, but I'm just going to wait for your information.
Listen, if you Google it, you are going to end up probably with worse information than you're receiving from me right now.
I trust you.
Because let's just say there might be some misconceptions with this event. Or at least like people are drawing a lot of... I'm not going to poison your brain.
Yeah.
So you've got that. You've got this guy talking about a poem that allegedly was written about this event, okay?
And you said he's investigating. He's trying to figure it out?
He was just like, we don't even know what he was doing. He was just a lawyer who wrote this in a journal about this event. We don't know if he knew anyone. It was just this piece of this poem was found in his possession.
All right.
And it describes the event as I said. Second piece of evidence. You find a piece of paper, unnamed, we don't know who wrote it, from 100 years after the event. So it's closer. But this is from about 1620 or something, or 1636, I think it was. And it mentions the affliction as well, only it describes it like this. In the year 1518 AD, there occurred among men a remarkable and terrible disease called Saint Vitus's dance, in which men in their madness began to dance day and night until finally they fell down unconscious and succumbed to death. So this is the account from 100 years after the event. We don't know who wrote it, but I'm fairly confident it was a real account from 100 years after the event. So far, these are what you have. The third piece of evidence you have is from 8 years after the event. So we're in 1526.
Okay.
A physician, a doctor, heard about the dancing illness and decided to go to Strasbourg and try to figure out what happened. The only useful information that remains of this physician's, it was kind of like his PhD thesis, that he wrote about this. But the only useful information that remains is that he frames it when he goes to see it. He basically comes to the conclusion that this was a disease of some kind rather than like a supernatural curse. And his treatise that he wrote that he did not mention anything about anybody dying. He didn't say that nobody died, but he didn't say that anybody died. And he also fabricates, completely makes up, but sort of theorizes this idea that it started with a single patient, like some woman who went out into the street and started dancing. He picked a woman for, because that's what I guess he thought women would do. This was like a woman's thing to do, is to go out in the street and start dancing, I guess he thought.
Yeah, classic.
And so he made up this idea
women.
of a patient zero from whom this disease spread. That's all we have from his account. We didn't get any other useful information from that.
Okay.
Those three pieces of evidence are really the three pieces of evidence that don't come from contemporary sources. So now we're going to get into contemporary. So these are things that are from the time of the dancing plague. Okay, so now put yourself in 1518 in Strasbourg.
Oh, so when you say contemporary,
thing,
you don't mean modern now. You mean when it happened.
No, contemporary to the event. Next piece of paper you pull out, you find correspondence. This is letters between the city, the clergy, so like the religious fucking whatever Catholic people, and physicians trying to figure out what to do about a strange new illness. People convulsing and dancing in the streets. In these correspondence, they sort of go back and forth, and the clergy, of course, says, well, what do you think they say? What do you think they think's happening?
It's Satan, it's the devil.
It's Satanists, it's the devil, there are people too much sinning, right?
Yeah.
This is a curse of some kind. The physicians, of course, what do they say probably?
That it's a disease, unknown disease, or?
Yes, the physicians say it's a known disease, actually. Everyone's blood has gotten too hot because of an astrological conjunction. So the planets have aligned in a way that it's heated up these people's blood too much. And if their blood is too hot, these are physicians, these are men of science, of course.
So they're just dancing around going, it's hot. Ooh.
I'm guessing nobody's mentioning my blood is hot. It's possible. But this is what the physicians said. Okay, they said this blood is too hot. So the clergy says, well, we have to purge all these people of their sins. And the physicians say, the only way to get rid of this is just to let people dance it out. You just got to let them get it out. Basically shake their sillies out.
Sure. Get your yayas out.
So that's,
as I've said,
you now have you got to get your yayas out. Exactly. That was the physician's advice from the time. So you have letters of correspondence basically discussing these ideas. And that's what you have. Your next thing is you have a city ordinance a few weeks later. So I believe it was late July that all these letters are from. August something. So let's say a month later or whatever, you find a city ordinance that bans all dancing in public and says nobody can dance and you can no longer play any instruments that are drums. No percussive instruments banned. Dancing is banned a month later.
Footloose.
I know. And then shortly after that, you also find accounts. This is technically, it's like drawings and paintings of the time, but also accounts of people being sent away out of the city for dancing too much to be cured. So they send them to shrines or to churches to be sprinkled with holy water and so on and so forth. So you find sort of written accounts of this occurring and sort of where people are being sent in carts against their will because they won't stop dancing. The only other piece of contemporary evidence you have is you have another city ordinance that was signed in between the letters and the ordinance banning the dancing. You find another one, but we don't know what was on it. Now, non-contemporary accounts later on claim that this ordinance was an ordinance to build dance halls and hire musicians to basically encourage people to get their yayas out. But there's no contemporary sources from the time that
so
actually
you mean they
say
just
that.
somehow have a record that there was an ordinance, but we have no idea what it is?
Exactly. Yes. The details of the ordinance were lost, but there was an ordinance signed.
And this was
at
also
that time.
After the plague?
The allegation of this ordinance, like what it was about, is from somebody who was born 20 years after the plague and in adulthood was investigating it. So they were born, I think, in Strasbourg. And as they got older, this is maybe 50 years later, they were like, I want to figure out what happens? And so they're interviewing people and going around, presumably. And this person, who did not exist at the time of the dancing plague, claims that at some point the city basically encouraged dancing and then banned it shortly thereafter. So this is all evidence you have, Lara Croft. Okay. I want you to tell me what the heck you think happened. What's the explanation for this? What exactly did happen? And compare that to the story that I laid out for you at the beginning, which is a bunch of crazy people went dancing and they all died. What do you think?
My first thought is that it seems like, unfortunately, because both the doctors and the church people were dumb, they were not actually properly investigating anything, because the doctors had a stupid astrological explanation. Out, right? Like, were they just... It sounds like they were just making a lot of assumptions and not even... Like, did they go up to any of these people and ask, hey, why are you doing this?
I think we could assume that they did. But again, it's really hard. It's really hard to know for sure. Yeah. Like, if nobody wrote this stuff down. I think we could assume that they asked, and that the characterization of the dancing, again, a lot of these sources are like not from the time, but the way that it's sort of characterized in poems and art and stuff from the time is that it was basically all encompassing, that they could not even really talk to these people or get them to stop. Yeah, they had to be taken against their will.
I just have so many questions, but maybe you don't even have answers. Like, do we know how many people this was supposedly affecting?
Oh, I'm sorry. We do. I forgot a piece of evidence. Oh. There was a piece of, you find a diary entry. This is like fucking Nancy Drew. You find a diary entry from in between the letters and the banning of the dancing. You find a diary entry that says, it's from some random rich family in the city, that mentions that people have been dancing now for over a month, and it has, I think their language is, what they say, something like, it has claimed 400. They don't say killed or specifically, but they say something like, I can find the exact quote, seized. They use seized 400 citizens, which makes it sound like not killed, but sort of taken hold of 400 people within a month at the time of the dancing. So that you do have a general, I guess, idea of how many people.
I mean, you just want to know what I think? I feel like...
Yeah, I'm just curious what you think happened.
I feel like nobody writing any of these things actually knew what was going on, so it's hard to say. But I mean, a logical explanation for me would be that it's some kind of crazy, like, I don't know. The only thing that's like a disease that could do this would be some kind of like brain worm or something. Like, it had to be a neurological something that could also be transmitted person to person, like some kind of virus or parasite or something.
I should add that after getting taken to like the churches and sprinkled with holy water, a lot of these people got better.
Oh, that's important.
So it was a curse, is what I'm saying. It was satanic. Oh. But like, yeah, it's the understanding is that the disease kind of abated. It's sort of people stopped dancing, and the assumption, again, what's the evidence for this? I don't exactly know, I guess. But the general assumption is it sort of went away and people stopped dancing. So like my thought is... And what's interesting about this is this idea that it was a single event, and that's kind of the story that's told, is already totally incorrect. This is something that was happening for like months.
Yeah, it happened over
months
time
on end of
more and more
dancing.
People.
And I feel like probably nobody died, or like not an unusual amount of people died, right? Because if there was one account I read, and this is crazy, there was one account, and this is on the Wikipedia. There's a section on Wikipedia that says controversies surrounding fatalities or something. There was one guy in an article from 2009 who said that upwards of 15 people were dying per day from this dancing plague. And I feel like if that was the case, somebody would have wrote that down at the time.
Well, yeah, wouldn't they? Like, did they keep like death records at that point?
That's
like
all
cause of death?
Well beyond the level of research I did in terms of the organization of the Strasbourg municipal government. I don't know. But you would think if it was something like that, someone would have wrote it down, and we would have heard mentions of it by, like, for example, the physician's accounts at the time, or like 8 years later, would have mentioned people dying at least. So this whole idea of people dancing until they die really only shows up 100 years after the fact, or 180 years after the fact, actually. when that person, or no, I'm sorry, that one was 100 years after the fact, when the person says that people were dancing until they died. I feel like the best explanation is like shit sucked in Strasbourg and people were sick and they were dying and everyone thought that God was trying to smite the city and nobody had any food and it was just a really rough time, and they kind of worked themselves up into a frenzy of just like wanting to get out on the streets and be like, and I think people just worked themselves up into it, and because stuff was so stressed, like other people kind of joined in like the way that a riot would occur, except it was dancing.
Yeah.
And it just kind of went, I think people just kind of did it. I think it was totally psychosomatic. In my opinion, again, like based on the evidence available. Because if it was like a brainworm or like something that could spread that fast, it would have kept going, right? Or people would, like we would have some kind of, or we would see it still happening today. Like we would have learned what this was if it was actually a disease. I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I mean, I'm
but...
not a, what's it called? People that study disease spread, pandemicologist,
a pandaologist.
I'm not one of those, but maybe, maybe a small town at that point in history, like not a lot of people were coming and going, so like everybody that was susceptible maybe could have just got it, and then
I should have given you so much more information. Strasbourg had like 20 to 30,000 people. It was a large city. It was considered a major city. So you're talking tens of, and that's also the misconception, is the idea that the whole town went crazy. It was actually just like a small group of people in the town who danced until they died. Like, it was basically
I just
like
want
a
more
nuisance.
information. I want to know if this is like a certain neighborhood.
I thought about looking that up too, but I was really putting off
see
doing
it
my
being
actual
something.
job.
There's definitely like, especially before, modern medical treatments, when you just kind of had to ride stuff out. There's viruses. If you get sick enough and you're like feverish, you start hallucinating and like being weird. Like I can see a virus maybe that makes you feel like really restless, and then it also being a combination of like kind of a weird like psychological trend that took hold, that people would go out and like get this energy out by dancing around outside.
I think the thing that's because I also think probably there's a chance that some of the people dancing died on account of there was disease. It was a city. People were dying and they didn't have food anyway. So like, I don't think it's impossible that a bunch of people kind of were sick, got delirious, started dancing. Other people got worked up. They all started dancing. A few of them died because of just exhaustion, and it was hot and there was no food and there was diseases going around. And then it kind of like gets conflated. Let's say you're a 5-year-old kid at the time and you just hear these stories of these crazy people dancing, and then you grow up and tell that story to some guy 100 years later and you say, yeah, I remember when I was young, but I think it was like there were just thousands of people in the streets just like dancing and dying. Yeah. And then that guy goes, oh, that's wow. Exactly, and it just kind of goes on from there.
That's how that kind of legend spreads. Like, it's very easy to imagine that like maybe a few people were outside dancing and sick at the same time, and people are looking out their windows at that and like really kind of like making it a big story. And then especially when you're talking about now you're generations removed, exactly what you're saying is like it's something that like maybe their parents explained it to them badly when they were a kid and they saw this, and then they just kind of have a fantasy about it that's not quite true that they repeat.
Exactly. And that's the dangerous thing about these, secondhand accounts to some extent, because that I did actually, two people to shout out here, really all of our information about this comes from this incredible historian named Elizabeth Clements, who's like just an independent historian exclusively on Strasbourg, who basically did all of this work to separate out like what we actually know from the time versus what came from later events versus whatever. And so she has conclusions, and she more or less thinks it was just sort of a stress-induced, or at least the evidence points to it being like a stress-induced psychological phenomenon. There's no good evidence for it being something that was like actually killing people. So shout out to her for doing all the work, because basically all information about it trickles down from just this one person who decided to put the footwork in. Yeah. And then there's this other guy, Michael. No, you said Michael. what's the
Michael Nicholas, my couch maker.
I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. John Waller, I think is his name. So he wrote the article that is cited on Wikipedia of being like the 15 deaths per day thing. And so I dug up that article and I read it, but he doesn't actually source anything in it. So I emailed him. He's a professor at Michigan State or something. So I reached out to him for comment. I've not heard back yet because that was about 3 hours ago. But if I hear back, I asked him basically like, if you have any idea where this information came from or a book or something, please let me know.
Yeah. So what we say in this situation is, when you're reading an article and they say, so-and-so did not immediately respond to comment.
That's what, this is what that is.
Yes.
It makes it sound like,
I always think that's funny because it makes it sound like they waited 10 minutes and we're like, never mind.
Yes, exactly. And it also, I feel like anytime I read that, it like implies that they're intentionally not responding. Like that they don't want to answer. Yeah, that's
what they're making it sound like, but it also sounds like they didn't wait very long.
No, they probably haven't seen the email yet.
Yeah.
Or maybe they like saw it, but were like, wait, let me think about this before I respond. So, if we get that information, we can go update the Wikipedia article, but the story of the dancing plague of 1518, I would say most likely extremely exaggerated. Still interesting. But it was a relatively small group of people. Probably not that many people died. And it was just people were going crazy because, they believe in the humors and astrological conjunctions and satanic curses.
Yeah, the blood.
So if things are going really bad, if the crops are dying, you probably assume that God is smiting you or whatever. And so you probably want to try to appease in some way. And maybe that's dancing.
Yeah, it sounds like a bad time to have a new disease because nobody knows what the hell is going on. I really liked that you said, like, of course the church thinks it's a curse from Satan.
Yeah.
And then you're like, but what did the physicians think? And I'm like, I'm ready to hear something a little bit more logical. No, it was
no. We legitimately just
the
really did not
of the blood because of the planets.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the planets and the general summer heat, I think, was part of the explanation. Yeah, until we had like microscopes and stuff, boy, we didn't understand much.
Yeah, really funny, the era of doctors just making shit up, like truly just imagining things.
Here's what I want to know is, did we have scientific method in 1518? When was the fucking Renaissance? Do you know? I don't know if I know. It's like 16,
I don't know. I mean,
1700?
from what you're saying, it sounds like it was just from, like, I remember in history classes at some point reading kind of like old journals of old doctors before they like actually knew anything or did science. And it would truly just like an explanation for something would take off after one guy just like made it up and guessed. And then everybody would be like, oh, like they would just take whoever wrote about it first. There was like no fact checking or anything. It was just like, oh, well, this guy, like they would just use this one source of like whoever wrote about it first and be like, I guess it's that.
Kind of ironically, that's what people do with this story, right? Some guy wrote about it and they said, I guess it's that. I guess people died, 15 people a day. Or like even the accounts from 100 years later. And when I was thinking Renaissance, I was actually thinking Enlightenment, when the Age of Reason, as they say, which was the late 17th to the end of the 18th century. So after all of this occurred.
I see. Nobody had been enlightened.
I'd be curious. Yet. Yeah. What did we get right at the time of the humors? I don't really know, but so that's your fact check on the dancing plague.
Wow.
And
I loved that. Can I just say round of applause for how you presented that? I love that you looked for like as many like primary close sources as you could. That was really cool.
I mean, I feel like we overvalue what's not a primary source, a secondary source. Is that what we call those? I'm trying to think back to high school.
I already forgot.
I feel like we sort of treat primary and secondary sources as like equal. And in a lot of cases, secondary sources really are like much less value. I mean, I say we, just regular people, actual researchers probably are much better about this, but
I'm sure there's actual definitions. I feel like the impression that I got in when we would talk about this, when your whole class would go to the library and the librarian would be explaining to you about different types of sources.
Yes.
I feel like my English teachers or whatever were just saying a primary source was basically anything that wasn't like an encyclopedia or an article written by somebody that like did research on this already.
Right. So would these accounts have counted?
I think like a first-hand account would definitely be a primary source. And I'm sure there's somebody that can explain it in the comments and is just like, has their head in their hands right now.
Yeah. And I'm sure, maybe someone will come in and be like, actually, there was a diary entry from August 3rd that says that 15 people died every day. I would love that. I just somehow didn't find it. But bring in the evidence. Bring in the evidence. We want our listeners to be on the cutting edge of Dancing Plague information. And interestingly, if we sort any of this stuff out and I hear from the author, we could go update that Wikipedia article with some knowledge. Yeah,
they're strict though. They say anybody can update Wikipedia, but the real Wikipedians are on that shit, and they notice immediately, and they will like take your shit down if it doesn't meet their standards.
We're gonna meet their standards.
There's real. I think they are called Wikipedians, like the actual Wikipedia editors that like make it a big part of their life. Obviously they have like actual like kind of rules of society over there. And if you're somebody that has like never edited before, you have no credentials and you start editing stuff, a lot of times it'll get like redacted right away by somebody that's actually an editor.
So we need someone on the inside.
Yeah, I've thought sometimes about if I should get into that scene. I don't know what I would write about.
Shockingly influential if you think about it. Kind of like, how there's just this one lady who all this information comes from. It's like, that's a huge amount of influence to be like the person who's arbiting or whatever an article about a thing that is like the first step for everybody to learn about it. Like this misinformation or whatever you want to call it has gone quite far, if it is indeed misinformation about this dancing plague. And it was only because of one lady who just decided to dedicate her time that we even know anything else about it, which is kind of incredible.
It's cool. I really admire people that work on Wikipedia. It seems like a lot of them are like really cool and genuinely just dedicated to knowledge and doing it for the sake of knowledge and learning. And I love anybody that does stuff for the sake of knowledge and learning. So shout out to the Wikipedia. And shout out Turks and Caicos. It's been a while since we said it.
Shout out Turks and Caicos. Truly. We're going in 2027.
Oh.
For the pod. Yeah. You didn't hear about this?
I guess not. We're going. Okay. All right.
Fun. Great. Yeah, I decided that right now. But it's not that far. Well, it's kind of far for you, actually.
How far is it?
It's like 7. I mean, it's probably a 2-hour flight from New Orleans.
Yeah, we'll make it out
I'm sure
there.
It's lovely. The capital is called Cockburn Town. I think that's what was happening to those people in the Dancing Plague. Hello.
Hello.
All right, I'm stopping recording.